One of the most important and crucial checks that you need to do before hiring any builder is checking that they have insurance. I cannot stress enough the importance of this. When I used to work for the big principal contractors, it was the surveyor's responsibility to check that the contractor they were hiring had adequate insurance, making sure that the insurance was valid when they started the job and valid until the end of the job was finished. There's lots of different types of insurances that the subcontractors will need to have before working on your home. What types of insurance do builders need to have? So the first type of insurance that's very important is public liability insurance. It isn't a legal requirement, but if your builder doesn't have it, you might want to find one that actually does want to work with it. It's not very costly for them to get. I think it works out like £5 a month for public liability insurance. Alternatively, you could speak to your insurance provider about it to see whether you can get an extra cost onto your own insurance. Employer's liability insurance could cover the builder if one of their employees is killed, injured or falls as a result of their work. The builder is legally required to have this type of insurance for every single employee. If they don't have it, there could be hefty fines of up to £2,500 every day that they're not properly insured. And as the homeowner, you too risk being sued if the builder contractor doesn't have the right cover. Very, very important to check this. Now, my understanding of employer's liability insurance is, so say if I took my business for a start, if I employed someone directly to work for me, even if they're a subcontractor, if they work for me and they work for me every single day, I tell them where to go and they work for me, then that's employers. I need employer's liability insurance. If I run the business how I want to run it, I technically only need public liability insurance at the moment because I will be employing subcontractors who will have their own public liability insurance. Which means I'm not employing them directly, I'm employing subcontractors, but I would need to make sure that my contractors are competent and they have the correct insurances. That would be my responsibility. Contract works insurance. This is also sometimes known as contractor's all risk cover. So this would cover things like, so the contractor cuts a hole in your roof to do the dormer and then there's a massive storm and the tin hat scaffolding or whatever they've put up to protect your home, it fails and then there's a massive storm and your whole house floods. That's what contractors' works insurance should be covering. Any damage by fire, flood, vandalism, for example. If you're planning a big renovation project, you need to make sure that the builder has contract works insurance in place. I'm not sure how many people have it. I've looked at insurance lately and I don't think the insurance company spoke to me about it, but obviously if I did do this job for people, when I do my extension, I think I'll just get it myself. I think it's important that I get it for my extension in case something goes wrong with the build. Professional indemnity insurance. So technically this is what I should be getting, the type of insurance I should be getting because I'm giving people advice, and if they take my advice and I give them the wrong advice, then I need to be insured for, the wrong advice that I might give someone. I believe professional indemnity insurance is more around technical design work as well. So say you're a structural engineer and a structural engineer gives you a design to a builder who has to build that design. If it's then not built to design, the structural engineer has the insurance to say that their design has been built to, and if it's been built to design and it fails, then they have insurance that would cover the fact that it failed. But then there's a lot of times when the culture in the industry is that structural engineers over-engineer things. No, they don't. They went to university for 3 to 5 years. They know exactly what they're talking about, and most builders didn't even go to school. So anyway, another story for about structural engineers. So yeah, I just think professional indemnity insurance, when everyone's saying a structural engineer is over-engineering something, well, no, they're the ones insuring it. So it's very, very important that that insurance is in place as well. Imagine this. You ask someone to come down and take a wall down your house. But a month later, the kitchen ceiling falls down and your roof collapses. Very possible, it could happen. If you didn't go down the whole route of getting a structural engineer to assess the works before it happened and building control to sign off the work, even if that building contractor had insurance, they might not insure because processes haven't been followed. The way that the Build Safety Act works now is that even if you are taking a wall down in your house, it is your responsibility as a domestic client to ensure that everyone you have working on your home is competent. There's a lot of work on this on the HSE website. I have put links to it on my website in this blog post. CDM regulations that have been around since 2015 for major construction sites. Like I say, they affect domestic clients, they affect subcontractors now. This is new legislation, I believe, something that wasn't around a couple of years ago. So it's quite big in the industry. Cannot stress enough all the changes that's happening with the Build Safety Act. And like I say, it's a good thing, but it's a complicated thing and people need to be aware of their responsibilities. The new legislation around the Build Safety Act means that, go back to the structural engineer example again. You employ a structural engineer, they give you a drawing, they give the builder the drawing. The builder builds to the drawing, and then at the end of it, when building control come in and sign off, building control will give you, the designer, who is a structural engineer, a declaration to sign. So yes, I believe the build has been built to my design. They will also give the builder a declaration. The builder will say, I have built to design. And they will also give you, as a domestic client, to say that I believe everything has been built to design. Again, this is all just protecting you, but it is Build Safety Act. And like I say, it affects everything, even as minor as taking down a wall in your house. But I do think it's there for a reason. It's there to protect you. Are subcontractors aware of their new responsibilities? So with the Build Safety Act, it's obviously brought in a lot of reforms. The contractors have increased responsibility. But are they fully aware of their responsibilities? So the new regulations, contractors, including subcontractors, must demonstrate competency in safety compliance, outlined in standards BS 8670. However, the knowledge gaps remain, and not all subcontractors understand the extent of their obligations. The HSE stresses that anyone working on a project must have necessary skills, knowledge and experience to ensure safety, but enforcing this across the industry is an ongoing challenge. So let's talk about Dave. Dave has a labourer's CSCS card, which is technically proving competence. It's proving that he's done a health and safety test and that he knows how to get on site. But he is a very, very competent roofer. He's not a labourer, he's a roofer. For him to get the correct card from CSCS, it costs quite a lot of money for him to do that. I don't even know whether there is qualified roofing skills associated with CSCS. I need to look at that. But for him to get the right card to say that he is competent is challenging. So how could he prove that he's competent otherwise? He's got a lead work course, he's got single ply roofing, he's got work up height training, he's got asbestos awareness, he's got all of these competencies, he's been doing a job for over 5 years. How does he prove that to someone? Again, it's going back to it's going back to sort of like, again, cowboy builders. You know, he could just go and steal pictures of someone's work from the internet and go, oh, look at this lovely job I'm doing, or he could buy the Google reviews or whatever he's going to do. It's very, very hard for the industry now to figure out how proving competence. But again, domestic clients, it is your responsibility to prove that you are employing people you feel are competent. And how do you do that when everyone's tricking everyone? Not everyone's tricking everyone, when people can be tricky. I don't know how they're going to be able to prove competence. It's a real big, I think it's going to be a very challenging issue that I don't know how people are going to get around. Obviously, the main highlight in this video is to just make sure that your contractor has adequate insurance. So there's a couple of links in the blog on my website which go to Just Compare the Market, who explain the levels of insurance in more detail. And there's nothing wrong with when you hire a builder saying, can I see your policy document? Yeah, of course you can. And just again, make sure it stays valid for the whole duration of your project. Couldn't be more important. So yeah, please just check to have insurance. Don't overlook it. Your home insurance will not cover you if you do building work and then something goes wrong. I mean, a lot of insurance policies, I know that my home insurance policy, when I did my kitchen, they actually want you to tell them when you're undergoing renovations. So I don't know what that does to your policy if you don't tell them, but you're better off just telling them with insurance. I'm sure insurance companies are very clever in what they pay out for and what they don't pay out for. You know, that's their job ultimately. So yeah, please be careful. Please make sure your contractors have adequate insurance.